I'm John Spellman, Director of Church Multiplication for the Gulf Atlantic District. And in the Gulf Atlantic District, we have this major population center called Atlanta, with lots and lots of people from lots and lots of different cultures. And we realized early on that we didn't have churches in place to reach them. We had, when we became a metro district several years ago, 3 suburban churches outside the perimeter with no assets in the city, none at all. And we had no way of reaching the city. We didn't understand the city. We didn't understand the different cultures within the city. And so we had to come to grips with that really early on, that we didn't have what it takes to reach these folks. Yet at the same time, God was giving us a clear mandate because of the fact that this incredible metro area is in our district, the middle of our district. We have to reach them. We're mandated to reach them, but we don't know how to do it. So we had to begin with an assumption that we don't know what we're doing. God has to put some people in our path to do it. So we began to have spiritual eyes to see, God, who are these people? Who are the people that can do this? Who can come alongside? Who can we come alongside of? That are already in the field, already in the city, already in the neighborhoods, and already understand the community.
My name is Mark Jefferson, and I've been asked by the Church Multiplication Department to help spearhead this urban initiative, specifically in the Atlanta area. And when I think about Atlanta and Atlanta, Georgia, and what it has to offer, and the people and the different things, it's a melting pot. It's huge. And I think it's the birth of this Foursquare movement, the culture, the different races, it also being the hip-hop capital of the world, the music. It's just an exciting place, and I think that God is using this place to birth this urban initiative, especially in the Foursquare movement. It's powerful. It's awesome. As we walk the streets and visit different ministries in the Atlanta metro area and even in other cities, what we look for, first of all, is someone that has a heart for their city. We look for people that can be teachable. We look for someone that no matter where they're at, 100 people or 4,000 people, they have a servant attitude, a submitful heart, and someone that just really loves God.
I want somebody who knows their community, and when they talk about the community, the love and the passion is in their voice. You can hear that not only do they know the people by virtue of a demographic study, but they know them because they've walked among them, they may have inhabited a homeless shelter with them, they have lived life together with these people. Because I don't know these things. If I pretend to know these things, then I'm lying.
God has given me a strong mandate to disciple young men and women, but in particular young men, and just seeing the good in them, seeing what God can do, really grabbing hold of those people that others will look at and say there's no hope and they can't make it. And it gives me the faith that even when I think about reaching our cities in Foursquare, that God can do it, because I live my life every day for the underdog.
I just looked at it from a point of view of, man, I get a chance to be a father to the fatherless. I get a chance to reconcile some things and some mistakes that I've made along the way. So when I think about being a pastor, I just bless God that he trusted me to do something that I felt that I messed up along the way.
I don't want you to be colorblind. I want your eyes to be wide open.
I have to have the assumption that everybody is not like me.
Prejudice is just basically ignorance of a situation. What I won't tolerate is racism.
I'm seeing so much talent, wasted talent.
I honestly believe that in the city of Atlanta alone, we could easily support over 200 Foursquare churches. When we began our district, when we multiplied districts, we had no African American churches at all. In fact, there were no other cultural churches other than Caucasian in our mix at all. And now we're excited and delighted to say that the Gulf Atlantic District has more African American churches in it than any other single district in America. That has brought a variety of issues that we've had to deal with at several levels. One is just overcoming relational issues personally with other pastors, you know, and bringing other pastors to the place of saying, regardless of what you look like, regardless of what your culture is, you and I are in this family called Foursquare, and we're in this thing together.
We continually work through tensions that arise from misplaced expectations, miscommunications, misunderstandings. Each one of us, whether it be Pastor Mark, myself, Pastor Scott, any of our district leaders, we come to this thing with our own filters, the way we see the world through the filters of our experiences. And so we have to be committed to have arguments, to understand that we're not going to always understand one another, to be willing to ask questions. It is relative to race, certainly. There are some issues that are the black-white thing, but then there's some things that are not necessarily a racial thing, it's just a cultural thing. Church culture, suburban culture, rural culture, urban culture. We have to be willing, though, to talk about the very difficult issues and to ask. I have had to ask Pastor Mark on several occasions, what is that all about? I don't understand. Why can't you just get this? He's had to ask me, why don't you understand this? Why can't you understand the issue of respect? Why can't you understand that you know, your life's experience as a white pastor in a white movement is radically different than mine as a black pastor coming into a white movement?
When you talk about the issues and the tension points, it always begins with prejudice. And, you know, I love it. And I love to expose it. And I love to stamp it out. But I look at prejudice like this. Prejudice is just basically ignorance of a situation. What I won't tolerate is racism. And that's when you begin to hate and do things because of your prejudice. But prejudice, they're there. They're going to be there. And we've had to really understand our differences and understand our ignorance of our differences and begin to openly ask questions. Why do you do this like that? What do you think about that? I've had some intense arguments with Pastor John Spellman and some intense arguments with Bishop Scott Reese. But once again, you know, we're going to stay in the ring, you know, no matter what happens. And you just work through them and you try to understand one another. And I remember times where John just saying to me, you know, look, you know, if you understand this or not, this is the way it's going to be. So we just got to do it. Okay. You know, and vice versa, you know, we just work it together. So there's a lot of tension, especially in the point of prejudice. And I don't say prejudice as necessarily a bad word, just ignorance of each other's situation versus racism. So we work through them and we understand we're all different. And as we work through them, then we watch and prepare for the next lesson to come along or the next group of people that come in so that we try not to continue to make the same mistakes over and over again.
Honestly, we've had to come to a place where each of us are willing to surrender, where we're willing to say, you know what, there's certain things that I have to hold on to because I am, of who I am. But there are other things that we have to say, I'm gonna contribute this factor of who I am, come together, and let's emerge from this with one vision that doesn't look black, the vision that doesn't look white or Asian or Hispanic, but the vision that really looks like the Father. Our district is to look like the makeup of the culture that we live in, and especially in a place like Atlanta. And not just Atlanta, but Birmingham and Montgomery and Mobile and Augusta, Georgia, and Savannah, Georgia. I mean, the world. That's what we're to look like. People are drawn to our church and to our district because we are multicultural, you know? And so as we give ourselves to that, we find that God honors it and he uses it for his purposes.